The worst part about playing brain damaged isn't the drooling. It's listening to your wife plan your homicide while you're sitting 3 feet away. We should have used a bigger rock the first time, Rachel whispers into her phone, thinking I can't understand. She's painting her nails blood red, the same color as the brake fluid that leaked from my Honda before it went over Miller's Cliff 2 years ago. I let my head loll to the side, eyes unfocused, mouth slightly open. The perfect vegetable. Meanwhile, I'm recording every word on the phone, hidden in my wheelchair cushion. 437 hours of evidence so far. Tonight makes 438. Sean's coming over after midnight, she continues. Elliot's sleeping pills will kick in by then. We can finish this. Finish this. Like I'm a half-eaten sandwich instead of the man who put a ring on her finger 12 years ago. The man who pulled 3 kids from a burning apartment building before my own accident. The real one that ended my firefighting career and started this nightmare. Rachel hangs up and walks over to my wheelchair. She smells like expensive perfume and cheap betrayal. Time for your medicine, honey. She holds out 2 white pills, sleeping pills that would knock out a horse. I've been palming them for months, building up a collection in my wheelchair cushion next to the recording device. But tonight I swallow them. Tonight I need her to think I'm completely under. Good boy, she coos, patting my head like I'm a golden retriever. The pills are actually Tic Tacs I switched earlier. Rachel doesn't notice because she never really looks at me anymore. Just through me like I'm already dead. At 12:47 a.m., Sean McClellan creeps through our back door like the snake he is. My former best friend. The man who was supposed to be my best man before he became my wife's lover and my would-be butcher. Is he out? Sean whispers. Like a light, I gave him double the dose. They think they're being quiet as they move to the living room, but I can hear everything from my bedroom. I've been practicing this routine for 2 years, the art of being invisible in your own life. Insurance company called today, Rachel says. They're getting suspicious about the delayed death certificate. What did you tell them? That his condition is deteriorating? Dr. Patel's been helpful, but he's asking questions too. Dr. Rajesh Patel, my neurologist, is the only person who knows I'm fully functional. He figured it out during month 6 when I accidentally solved a Rubik's Cube during a cognitive test. Smart man. Even smarter for keeping his mouth shut when I begged him to. We need to end this, Sean says. The pillow thing you mentioned. Or we could stage another accident. Push his wheelchair down the stairs. Rachel, baby, you're overthinking this. Simple is better. Pillow over his face, call 911 in the morning. Say you found him that way. Natural causes. Brain injury complications. I grip my wheelchair armrests so hard my knuckles go white. Good thing they can't see me in the dark. What about the money? Rachel asks. 4.2 million, split down the middle. We disappear to Costa Rica like we planned. 4.2 million. My life insurance policy, plus the settlement from the city for my firefighting injury. Money that was supposed to take care of Rachel if something happened to me. Turns out, she decided to make something happen. I still can't believe we pulled off the car crash, Sean laughs. Cutting those brake lines was genius. Your genius. I just provided the alibi. Standing on that overlook, watching his car flip, I thought we were home free. Then the fool had to survive. They laugh together. Actually laugh about my near-end experience like it's a funny movie they watched. I wheel myself silently to the doorway and peek around the corner. Sean's on our couch, my couch. With his boots on the coffee table, Rachel made me take my shoes off to protect. Rachel's curled up next to him in the nightgown I bought her for our anniversary. Tomorrow night? Sean asks. Tomorrow night, I'll give him the real pills this time. When he's unconscious, we do it. And then Costa Rica. And then Costa Rica. They start kissing, and I wheel back to my bedroom before I do something that ruins 2 years of careful planning. Tomorrow night, they think they're going to eliminate me. But tomorrow night is when Elliot Masters comes back from the dead. The next morning, Rachel performs her usual charade of caring wife. She makes me scrambled eggs I don't want, helps me into my day clothes like I'm a toddler, and wheels me to the living room for my therapy time. I'm going to work, honey. Sean's coming by later to check on you. Sean works, if you can call it that, at Morrison's used cars downtown. He's the kind of guy who sells lemons to single mothers and feels good about it. Rachel works at Hartwell Insurance, processing claims. The irony isn't lost on me that my wife investigates insurance fraud for a living while planning to commit it herself. After she leaves, I call Dr. Patel from the phone in my bedroom. Elliot, how are you holding up? They're going to try tonight, Doc. I need you to do something for me. What do you need? Call Judge Harrison's office. Tell them I want to request a competency hearing, emergency basis. Elliot, are you sure about this timing? They're planning to suffocate me tonight. I'd rather face them in court than in my bedroom. Jesus. Okay, I'll make the call. But Elliot, once you do this, there's no going back. You'll be accusing your wife of attempted homicide. Good, because that's exactly what she's guilty of. Dr. Patel hangs up, and I spend the rest of the morning transferring my evidence files to multiple cloud accounts. 438 hours of recordings, bank statements showing the insurance payout, going into a joint account with Sean. Text messages between Rachel and Sean that I photographed when she left her phone unattended. Medical records that have been falsified to make my condition seem worse than it is. At 2 p.m., Sean arrives with a bag of Chinese takeout and a smile that makes me want to punch him in his perfectly straight teeth. Hey, buddy, how we doing today? Buddy. This from the man who's planning to homicide me in 8 hours. Sean parks himself in my recliner and starts eating lo mein straight from the container. Rachel's working late tonight. Big case, so it's just us guys. He turns on the TV to some action movie. Ironically, it's The Fugitive, a movie about a man whose wife is homicided and who has to prove his innocence. Sean doesn't seem to appreciate the parallel. You know what's funny, Elliot? Sean says during a commercial break. Sometimes I think you understand more than you let on. Like, you're watching everything, taking it all in. I let drool pool at the corner of my mouth and make a soft, groaning sound. Nah, I'm being paranoid. Rachel says you're completely gone upstairs. Brain like scrambled eggs. At 6 p.m., Rachel comes home with groceries and a bottle of wine, celebrating early. How was he today? She asks Sean. Same as always, quiet, compliant. Good. I picked up his prescription, the strong stuff. She shows Sean a bottle of pills that could put down a rhinoceros. These aren't the mild sedatives she's been giving me. These are the real deal. After dinner, she says, we'll give him 2 of these, wait an hour, then we're free, Sean finishes. They cook dinner together in my kitchen using my pots and pans, drinking my wine. They're so comfortable with their plan that they don't even bother whispering anymore. I already booked the flights, Sean says. We leave Monday. By the time anyone asks questions, we'll be sipping margaritas on a beach. What about the funeral arrangements? I figured you'd want something simple. Cremation, scatter the ashes somewhere meaningful. The lake where we had our first date, he'd like that. No, Rachel, I wouldn't like that. I'd like to not be homicided by my wife and best friend, but apparently that's too much to ask. At 8 p.m., my phone rings. It's Dr. Patel. Elliot, Judge Harrison agreed to an emergency competency hearing. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Can you make it? Rachel answers before I can respond. Doctor, Elliot can't talk on the phone. His condition, actually, Mrs. Masters, I'd like to try something new, a different approach to his therapy. Would it be possible to bring him to my office tonight for some tests? Tonight, it's already 8 o'clock. I know it's unusual, but I have some new equipment I'd like to try. It could be a breakthrough for his condition. Rachel looks at Sean, who shrugs. They probably think this is perfect timing. Get me out of the house, eliminate me at the doctor's office, blame it on medical complications. Okay, doctor, we'll be there in an hour. Excellent. And Mrs. Masters, please bring any medications Elliot is currently taking. I want to review his entire treatment plan. After she hangs up, Rachel and Sean exchange a look. This could work even better, Sean says. If something happens at the doctor's office, no witnesses, no questions, they load me into Rachel's car, the same car she drove to watch my accident 2 years ago, and head toward Dr. Patel's office. But instead of going to the medical center, Dr. Patel directs us to the courthouse. Change of plans, he explains when Rachel calls him confused. Judge Harrison wants to see Elliot tonight. Emergency competency evaluation. A judge? Why would a judge want to see my husband? Mrs. Masters, there are some questions about Elliot's care that need to be addressed. Please bring him inside. Rachel's face goes white. Sean starts sweating. Maybe we should go home, Sean suggests. No, I say clearly, speaking for the first time in 2 years. Let's go inside. The look on Rachel's face when I spoke could power the entire courthouse. Sean actually stumbles backward like he's been shot. Elliot? Rachel whispers. You You can talk? I can do a lot of things, Rachel, like walk. I stand up from my wheelchair, my legs perfectly steady. 2 years of secret physical therapy in Dr. Patel's office have kept me in better shape than before the accident. How long? Sean asks, his voice barely audible. How long have I been able to walk and talk? Since about 3 weeks after the accident. How long have I been recording your homicide plans? Since the first time you discussed suffocating me in my sleep. Rachel tries to run. I grab her wrist. We're going inside, honey. You've got a date with Judge Harrison. The courthouse lobby is nearly empty except for a bailiff and a court reporter. Judge Harrison is waiting in his chambers, along with District Attorney Morrison and Detective Sarah Walsh from the State Police. Mr. Masters, Judge Harrison says as we enter, Dr. Patel tells me you have some serious allegations to make. I do, Your Honor. I'd like to report the attempted homicide of Elliot Masters. But you are Elliot Masters, the judge says, confused. Exactly. And these two people tried to eliminate me 2 years ago, have been planning to finish the job tonight, and have defrauded my insurance company out of $4.2 million. Rachel finds her voice. He's delusional, Your Honor. He's been brain damaged for 2 years. This is some kind of psychotic break. Is it? I pull out my phone and connect it to the courtroom's audio system. Let's listen to last night's conversation. Rachel's voice fills the room. We should have used a bigger rock the first time. Sean's voice. Insurance company called today. They're getting suspicious about the delayed death certificate. Rachel again. Simple is better. Pillow over his face. Call 911 in the morning. The recording plays for 10 minutes. Rachel planning my homicide. Sean laughing about the car accident, both of them discussing their escape to Costa Rica with my insurance money. When it ends, the room is silent, except for Rachel's quiet sobbing. Your Honor, I continue, I have 438 hours of similar recordings. I also have bank statements showing the fraudulent insurance payout, text messages between the defendants discussing my homicide, and medical records that have been falsified to support their fraud. Detective Walsh steps forward. Mrs. Masters, Mr. McClellan, you're both under arrest for attempted homicide, conspiracy to commit homicide, insurance fraud, and elder misuse. This is insane, Sean shouts. He's been a vegetable for 2 years. Everyone knows that. Everyone except Dr. Patel and me, I reply. See, Sean, the thing about being a firefighter is you learn to stay calm in dangerous situations. You learn to gather information before you act, and you learn that the best way to catch someone is to let them think they've already won. As Detective Walsh reads them their rights, Rachel looks at me with pure hatred. You fool! You lying, manipulative fool! I learned from the best, honey. Judge Harrison sets their bail at $2 million each, money they can't access because their accounts have been frozen as evidence. They'll be spending the night in county lockup. As the bailiffs lead them away, Sean tries one last desperate play. Elliot, man, you've got to understand. Rachel seduced me. She planned everything. I was just a coward who tried to homicide his best friend for money, I finish. Save it for your cellmate, Sean. 3 days later, Rachel and Sean make bail, thanks to Sean's sleazy lawyer, Jimmy Torino, who apparently mortgaged his own practice to get them out. Big mistake. I'm staying at the Riverside Motel while the DA's office prepares for trial. My house is a crime scene now, and honestly, I never want to sleep in that bed again anyway. At 6 a.m., my phone rings. It's Detective Walsh. Elliot, we've got a problem. Rachel and Sean didn't show up for their check-in yesterday. Their ankle monitors were cut off. They ran. Looks like it. We found Sean's car abandoned at the bus station, but no sign of them after that. What about airports, train stations? We're checking everything, but they had a 12-hour head start. Could be anywhere by now. I hang up and stare at the ceiling. 2 years of planning, and they slip away at the last minute. But I know Rachel better than she thinks I do. I know Sean, too, and I know exactly where they're going. Lake Winnipocket. The same lake where Rachel wanted to scatter my ashes. It's where we had our first date, where Sean and I used to go fishing as kids, where all three of us spent countless summers. If they're going to run, they'll stop there first. Rachel's sentimental that way. I drive to the lake in my new pickup truck, paid for with a small portion of the insurance money I'm getting back. The morning is cold and foggy, perfect weather for a confrontation. Sure enough, I spot Sean's backup car. a beat-up Camaro he keeps for emergencies, parked behind the old bait shop. I call Detective Walsh and give her my location, then I wait. At 9 a.m., Rachel and Sean emerge from the cabin they've been hiding in. They're carrying suitcases and a cooler, probably planning to dump evidence in the lake before they disappear forever. I step out from behind my truck. Going somewhere? Sean drops his suitcase and tries to run. I tackle him before he makes it 10 feet, and we roll down the muddy bank toward the water. Sean's bigger than me, but I'm angrier, and anger is a hell of a motivator. "You son of a witch," he gasps as I pin him down. "You ruined everything." "I ruined everything. You tried to eliminate me." Sean throws a punch that catches me in the ribs. But I've been training with a boxing coach for 6 months, preparing for this moment. I return the favor with an uppercut that snaps his head back. Meanwhile, Rachel is trying to start the Camaro, but I disabled it while they were in the cabin. The engine turns over but won't catch. "It's over, Rachel," I shout. "Police are on their way." She gets out of the car with something in her hand. A tool. A small revolver I've never seen before. "Stay back, Elliot. I mean it." "You're going to shoot me now? In broad daylight?" "If I have to, Sean and I are leaving and you're not going to stop us." Sean struggles to his feet, red fluid running from his nose. "Shoot him, Rachel. We can dump the body in the lake." "Like you dumped my car 2 years ago?" "That was different. That was supposed to look like an accident. And this will look like self-defense. Crazy brain-damaged husband attacks innocent wife." She raises the tool, and for a moment I think this might actually be how it ends. 2 years of planning and I die anyway. But Rachel hesitates. Maybe because she remembers who I used to be. Maybe because she realizes that eliminating me here won't solve their problems. Or maybe because she hears the sirens approaching from the main road. "It's too late," I tell her. "Even if you eliminate me now, they'll find you. The evidence is already with the DA. The recordings, the bank statements, everything." "We could have been happy," she says, tears streaming down her face. "If you had just died like you were supposed to. If I had just let you homicide me, you mean?" Detective Walsh and 3 state troopers come crashing through the woods just as Rachel lowers the tool. She drops it in the dirt and falls to her knees. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I'm so sorry." But she's not apologizing to me. She's apologizing to Sean. The trial lasts 3 weeks and becomes the biggest news story in our county's history. Local TV crews camp outside the courthouse every day. The story has everything: attempted homicide, insurance fraud, a husband's elaborate revenge, and enough betrayal to fill a soap opera. Rachel's new lawyer, a public defender named Janet Cross, tries to argue that I'm the real villain here, that I psychologically tortured my wife by pretending to be brain damaged, that my recordings were obtained illegally, that the whole thing is an elaborate hoax. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," she says during opening statements, "my client believed her husband was severely disabled. She was caring for him, sacrificing her own life to tend to his needs. Yes, she had an affair. Yes, she made some poor financial decisions, but attempted homicide? The only evidence of that comes from a man who admits he spent 2 years lying to everyone around him. It's a good strategy. Make me the bad guy. Paint Rachel as the sufferer of my manipulation. But District Attorney Morrison is better. Mr. Masters didn't create those recordings out of thin air," he tells the jury. "He didn't force Mrs. Masters to say, 'We should have used a bigger rock the first time.' He didn't make Mr. McClellan laugh about watching his car go over a cliff. He didn't invent their plans to suffocate him with a pillow. He simply documented the truth." The prosecution's case is devastating. 438 hours of recordings. Bank records showing the fraudulent insurance claims. Medical records that were falsified. Testimony from Dr. Patel about my actual condition. Even testimony from the mechanic who examined my car and confirmed that the brake lines had been deliberately cut. Sean's lawyer tries to pin everything on Rachel, claiming she manipulated him into participating. But the recordings don't lie. Sean was an eager participant from the beginning. The most dramatic moment comes when I take the stand. "Mr. Masters," D.A. Morrison asks, "why didn't you reveal your recovery sooner? Why spend 2 years pretending to be disabled?" "Because I needed to know the truth. If I had revealed my recovery immediately, Rachel and Sean would have just denied everything. They would have claimed the car accident was really an accident. They would have said they never planned to hurt me. By staying silent, I gave them enough rope to hang themselves. That must have been incredibly difficult. The hardest thing I've ever done, watching the woman I loved plan my homicide. Listening to my best friend laugh about my near-end experience, sitting in that wheelchair while they lived in my house, spent my money, and planned my funeral. Do you regret it? I regret trusting them in the first place. I don't regret exposing them. Rachel's lawyer cross-examines me for 6 hours, trying to break my story, trying to make me admit that I'm lying about something, anything. But I've had 2 years to prepare for this moment. Every detail is perfect because every detail is true. Mr. Masters, isn't it true that you're a manipulative, vindictive man who orchestrated this entire scenario to destroy your wife? No, ma'am. I'm a man who survived an attempted homicide and gathered evidence against his attackers. You recorded private conversations without consent. I recorded confessions to attempted homicide. In this state, that's legal when you're the intended sufferer. You deceived medical professionals. I cooperated with Dr. Patel to document my recovery and gather evidence of medical fraud. You psychologically tortured your wife by making her believe you were disabled. I protected myself by documenting her plans to eliminate me. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. When they return, the forewoman stands to read the verdict. On the charge of attempted homicide, in the first degree, we find the defendant Rachel Masters guilty. Rachel collapses in her chair. Her mother, sitting in the gallery, starts crying. On the charge of conspiracy to commit homicide, we find the defendant Rachel Masters guilty. On the charge of insurance fraud, we find the defendant Rachel Masters guilty. Sean's verdicts are identical. Guilty on all counts. Judge Harrison sentences Rachel to 25 years in prison. Sean gets 30 years because of his prior record. Neither will be eligible for parole for at least 15 years. As the bailiffs lead them away, Rachel turns to look at me one last time. I did love you once, she says. I know. I reply, that's what makes this so sad. 6 months after the trial, I'm living in a small apartment overlooking Lake Winnipocket, the same lake where I caught Rachel and Sean trying to escape. The irony isn't lost on me. The insurance company returned my money with interest and a formal apology. They also hired me as a consultant to help investigate similar fraud cases. Turns out, my experience makes me uniquely qualified to spot fake disability claims. Dr. Patel stops by every few weeks to check on my progress. Not medical progress. I'm fine physically. Psychological progress. Recovering from 2 years of psychological warfare takes time. How are you sleeping? He asks during one visit. Better. The nightmares are less frequent. And the anger? Still there, but manageable. Have you considered visiting them? Rachel and Sean? No, I never want to see them again. Sometimes closure requires confrontation. I got my closure in court, Doc. They're in prison where they belong. I'm free to live my life. That's all the closure I need. But 3 weeks later, I get a letter from Rachel. She's being held at the Women's Correctional Facility, 2 hours north of here. The letter's handwritten on prison stationery. Elliot, it begins. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to tell you something. Sean is planning to appeal his conviction. His new lawyer thinks they can get the recordings thrown out on a technicality. If that happens, they might be able to get his sentence reduced or even overturned, I thought you should know. The letter continues for 3 pages. Rachel claims she's found religion in prison. She says she's sorry for everything. She asks for my forgiveness. But the important part is the warning about Sean's appeal. I call D.A. Morrison immediately. We're aware of the appeal, he tells me. Sean's lawyers claiming the recordings were obtained through illegal surveillance. It's a long shot, but stranger things have happened. What can we do? Keep our fingers crossed. And maybe pray that Sean's cellmate doesn't like attempted butchers. 2 weeks later, I get another call from D.A. Morrison. But this time, he's got good news. Sean McClellan was found dead in his cell this morning. What happened? Apparent self-destruction. Hung himself with a bedsheet. Left a note confessing to everything and absolving Rachel of any responsibility. Self-destruction? Sean's too much of a coward to eliminate himself. Maybe, but the investigation is closed. No signs of foul play. His cellmate was in solitary confinement at the time. Guards didn't see anything unusual. I hang up the phone and pour myself a drink. Sean McClellan is dead. Whether he eliminated himself or someone else did it for him, the result is the same. Justice served. A month later, I get a final letter from Rachel. Sean's passing has broken something in her. The handwriting is shaky, desperate. He was going to get out, she writes. His lawyer said he had a good chance with the appeal, but now he's dead and I'm alone in here. And I keep thinking about what we did to you. How we destroyed everything good in our lives for money we never even got to spend. I'm sorry, Elliot. I'm so sorry. I burn the letter without finishing it. Some apologies come too late. 1 year after the trial, I'm working in my new office when Detective Walsh calls with unexpected news. Elliot, we've reopened the investigation into Sean McClellan's passing. Why? His cellmate started talking. Guy named Tommy Ricci. He claims Sean didn't eliminate himself. Then what happened? According to Ricci, Sean was homicided by another inmate, someone who was paid to make it look like self-destruction. Paid by who? That's what we're trying to figure out. Ricci says the butcher mentioned something about evening the score for someone on the outside. I feel a chill run down my spine. You think someone hired a hit on Sean? It's possible. The question is, who would want him dead badly enough to arrange a homicide in prison? After Walsh hangs up, I sit in my office staring at the lake, thinking about enemies Sean might have made. He was a used car dealer who specialized in ripping off customers. He'd cheated on his ex-wife with multiple women. He'd borrowed money from questionable people to pay his legal fees. Or maybe someone wanted to make sure Sean never got the chance to appeal his conviction. Someone who couldn't risk him getting out of prison and trying to finish what he started. My phone rings. It's an unknown number. Hello? Mr. Masters? This is Tommy Ricci. I'm calling from Millbrook Correctional. Sean's cellmate. The one who's been talking to police. What do you want, Mr. Ricci? I want to tell you the truth about what happened to your friend. Sean McClellan wasn't my friend. Right, the guy who tried to eliminate you. Well, somebody made sure he got what he deserved. Who? Can't say over the phone, but if you want answers, come see me. Visiting hours are Wednesday and Saturday. He hangs up before I can respond. I spend the next 2 days debating whether to visit Tommy Ricci. Part of me wants to know who eliminated Sean and why. Part of me doesn't care. Sean is dead, Rachel is in prison, and I'm free. What more do I need? But curiosity wins. On Saturday morning, I drive to Millbrook Correctional and sign up for a visitor's appointment. Tommy Ricci is a small, wiry man with tattoos covering both arms and a scar running from his left ear to his chin. He sits across from me in the visiting room, separated by reinforced glass. You're smaller than I expected, he says through the phone. You're not what I expected either. Sean talked about you all the time, called you the ghost, said you haunted him for 2 years. He tried to homicide me. Yeah, he told me that too. Bragged about it, actually. Said you were too stupid to know you were being set up. But someone made sure he paid for it. Ricci leans closer to the glass. Your wife. What? Rachel Masters. She's the one who arranged Sean's end. I feel like I've been punched in the stomach. That's impossible. Rachel's in prison. Prison's just another neighborhood, Mr. Masters. You can still make phone calls, send messages, arrange business deals. Your wife contacted some people who contacted some other people who contacted me. Why would Rachel want Sean dead? Because he was going to throw her under the bus. His appeal strategy was to claim she manipulated him into everything. Paint himself as another sufferer. Rachel couldn't let that happen. So she had him eliminated. She paid for it. I did it. Made it look like self-destruction, just like she asked. Why are you telling me this? Ricci smiles, showing gold teeth. Because she stiffed me on the payment. Promised 50 grand, only sent 20. I figure you might want to know that your wife is still playing games. I hang up the phone and walk out of the prison in a daze. Rachel eliminated Sean. Even in prison, even after everything that's happened, she's still manipulating people, still destroying lives. That night, I write a letter to Detective Walsh telling her everything Tommy Ricci told me. Let the police sort it out. Let Rachel face new charges for conspiracy to commit homicide. I'm done being part of this story. But Rachel isn't done with me. 2 weeks later, she escapes. The call comes at 3 a.m. Detective Walsh, breathless and angry. Rachel's gone. Walked away from a work detail at the prison farm yesterday afternoon. They've been searching for 18 hours. How does someone just walk away from prison? Minimum security facility. She was supposed to be low flight risk because of her long sentence. Apparently, the Department of Corrections miscalculated. Any idea where she's headed? Your apartment was the first place we checked. We've got it under surveillance now. Don't go home, Elliot. Find a hotel, stay with friends, whatever, but don't go home. I'm already getting dressed. She's not coming to my apartment. How can you be sure? Because Rachel's smarter than that. She knows you'll be watching my place. She'll go somewhere. That means something to both of us. Somewhere she thinks I'll come looking for her. Where? The house. Our old house. The house where we lived together for 8 years. Where she planned my homicide, where I spent 2 years pretending to be brain damaged while recording her confessions. It's been empty since the trial, tied up in legal proceedings while the insurance company and the state argue over who owns what. I drive there through empty streets, my new pistol, legally purchased and properly licensed, loaded and ready in the glove compartment. I'm not taking any chances this time. The house looks abandoned, newspapers piled on the front porch, grass grown knee-high, windows dark. But Rachel's car, a beat-up Honda she must have stolen, is parked in the driveway. I call Detective Walsh and give her my location, then I wait for backup. I'm not stupid enough to go in alone. But Rachel comes out to me. She appears in the doorway like a ghost, wearing an orange prison jumpsuit and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. She's lost weight, and her hair is shorter, but she's still beautiful in a dangerous way. Hello, Elliot. Hello, Rachel. I was wondering when you'd figure out where I was. Took me about 30 seconds. You always were predictable. She walks toward me slowly, hands visible, no weapons. But I keep my hand near my tool anyway. I heard you visited Tommy Ricci. I heard you hired him to eliminate Sean. Sean was going to betray me, claim I manipulated him into everything. I couldn't let that happen. So you had him homicided. I protected myself, just like you did when you recorded our conversations. I recorded evidence of a crime. You committed another crime. Same difference. She's close enough now that I can see the exhaustion in her eyes. Prison has aged her. Or maybe guilt has. Why did you escape, Rachel? You had 15 years before parole eligibility. Now you'll never get out. Because I realized something in prison. I realized that I don't want to get out. I don't want to live in a world where everyone knows what I did, where everyone looks at me like I'm a monster. You are a monster. I know, and so are you. I'm not the one who tried to commit homicide. No, you're the one who spent 2 years psychologically torturing his wife. You're the one who destroyed 2 lives for the sake of revenge. I exposed 2 criminals for the sake of justice. Same difference. She reaches into her pocket and I draw my tool. Easy, she says, pulling out a small revolver. The same tool she pointed at me at the lake. I'm not going to shoot you, Elliot. Then put it down. I can't do that. Why not? Because I need you to understand something. I need you to know that I really did love you once. Before the money, before Sean, before everything went wrong. I loved you. I know you did. And I need you to know that I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught, sorry I did it in the first place. Okay, and I need you to know that this isn't your fault. She raises the tool to her own head. Rachel, don't. The fire shot echoes through the neighborhood like thunder. Rachel falls backward onto the driveway, red fluid spreading beneath her head like spilled wine. I holster my weapon and kneel beside her, checking for a pulse I know I won't find. Her eyes are open, staring at the stars. Detective Walsh arrives 5 minutes later with 3 squad cars and an ambulance. But there's nothing for the paramedics to do except pronounce Rachel dead at the scene. She say anything? Walsh asks. She said she was sorry. You believe her? I look down at Rachel's body, at the woman who tried to eliminate me, who manipulated everyone around her, who had her lover homicided in prison, who chose self-destruction over facing the consequences of her actions. Yeah, I say, I believe her. But being sorry doesn't change anything. Being sorry doesn't bring back the 8 years we had together before greed destroyed everything. Being sorry doesn't erase the 2 years I spent pretending to be brain damaged while she planned my end. Being sorry is just another word for too late. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my office reviewing insurance fraud cases when my secretary buzzes me. Mr. Masters, there's someone here to see you. It says it's about the McClellan case. Tommy Ricci walks into my office wearing a cheap suit and a nervous smile. He's been released from prison, early parole for cooperation in the investigation into Sean's passing. Mr. Masters, good to see you again. What do you want? Ricci, I want to give you something. He reaches into his jacket and I tense up, ready to dive for cover. But he pulls out an envelope, not a weapon. What's this? Rachel's final payment. The 30 grand she still owed me for the Sean job. She's dead. I know, but her lawyer sent this to my parole officer last week. Apparently, she left instructions in her will to pay all outstanding debts. Keep it. I don't want her money. Neither do I. Blood money's bad luck. He sets the envelope on my desk and heads for the door. Ricci, yeah? Why did you really eliminate Sean? Was it just for the money? He thinks about it for a moment. You know what Sean said to me the night before he died? He said he was going to get out on appeal, and when he did, he was going to finish what he started with you. Said you humiliated him and he owed you payback. So you eliminated him to protect me? I eliminated him because some debts can only be paid in blood. Rachel understood that. Sean never did. After Ricci leaves, I sit alone in my office, staring at the envelope full of money I don't want, thinking about debts and justice and revenge. Rachel tried to eliminate me for insurance money. I exposed her and sent her to prison. She had Sean homicided to protect herself. Then she eliminated herself, rather than face the consequences. Everyone got what they deserved, I suppose. But nobody got what they wanted. I take the envelope to the bank and deposit the money into a fund for brain injury survivors. Let something good come from all this blood and betrayal. That night, I dream about the car accident. But in the dream, I die like I was supposed to. Rachel and Sean collect the insurance money and disappear to Costa Rica. They live happily ever after while I rot in a grave marked with a headstone that reads, "Beloved Husband." I wake up screaming. Dr. Patel says the nightmares will fade with time. He says I need to forgive myself for the choices I made, the lies I told, the lives I destroyed. But I don't want to forgive myself. I want to remember every detail of what happened. I want to carry the weight of it forever. Because the truth is, I became exactly what Rachel said I was, a monster, a manipulative, vindictive man who orchestrated the destruction of everyone around him. The only difference between Rachel and me is that I was the better liar. And in the end, that made all the difference. I pour myself a drink and toast the empty room. To the ghost in the mirror, I say, may he never rest in peace. Outside my window, Lake Winnipocket reflects the moonlight like a sheet of black glass. Somewhere beneath those waters lie the secrets of 3 lives, destroyed by greed, betrayal, and revenge. But I'm still here, still breathing, still fighting, still winning.